Everyone is talking about robots and Tesla Optimus. And there is a reason why. I think Optimus is going to be one of the greatest bonanzas in economic growth catalysts that humanity has ever seen. And I'm thinking that this might all happen much, much sooner than anyone anticipates. So let's dive right in and see why I'm thinking that. So, number one, what is the strategic opportunity of humanoid robots and Tesla Optimus? And Elon already said he thinks it's a $25 trillion opportunity, 25 trillion in annual revenue. And the reason for that is very simple. That is roughly the human labor, market. So if you would replace all humans and their labor, you're getting to 25 trillion. Very roughly, of course. Now, why is this possible? When you look at the advancements that we have seen in AI, number one, and the tremendous advancements of LLMs, that's the first driver of it. Second, we have seen tremendous advancements in robotics, in the actual physical appearance and capabilities of robots very recently. And you see that in the Figure 1 demo, for example, right? Where the Figure 1 robot stands at the sink and does all these amazing things, gives the guy an apple, explains what they do, and do pretty complicated things. And we have seen the Tesla Optimus humanoid robot already performing pretty impressive tasks. Catalyst number 3 here is Tesla manufacturing. So if you start manufacturing humanoid robots at scale, and they're these universal multi-purpose platforms that can do truly everything humans can do, even if they can only do what the bottom 10% skilled humans can do, that's already a lot. Who is able to manufacture something like that, a hardware platform like that, in the hundreds of millions or billions of units? This is an extremely untrivial problem. It is actually more trivial than manufacturing cars, but it's an extremely untrivial problem. So Tesla has an absolute pole position in manufacturing. Don't discount it. People who say this is not a problem have no clue what manufacturing means. And then finally, the big catalyst number 4 is Elon himself. And why is that? Okay, if you are a random robotics startup, take Figure 1. Are you following the Figure 1 CEO on Twitter? Does he have 180 million followers? Is everyone a fanatic fan of the Figure 1 CEO? Do you know the name of the Figure 1 CEO? No. I'm not saying he's not a great CEO. I'm saying he's lacking the star power by many, many magnitudes compared to Elon. And why is this important? Because if Elon launches Tesla Optimus and tweets about it and does a cool demo, and this thing works and is commercially available for pre-order, you will see millions in pre-orders, which is everything that counts here. Now we understand why there is a huge strategic opportunity. I think 25 trillion is an enormous, ridiculously huge opportunity, but it's even bigger than that, as we all know. There is no limit to the size of this market. We all know the human labor market is very limited. Think about the Western world, think about birth decline, think about Germany, Korea, Japan. They are in dire straits in terms of babies, having no humans. And even though I'm a big fan of, making sure people have more babies and we turn this around, I think it's very important. It's not going to happen short term, and there is a strategic problem, and the most valuable asset are humans for the economy. And robots, you can order them, they come next day or in a month. You don't have to wait 18 years. You don't have to invest hundreds of thousands to raise your baby to 18-year-olds. By the way, 18-year-olds mostly unusable in the labor market, so you have to do it all the way to whatever, 26. And the robots are just there immediately. They're much cheaper. They work day and night. They don't complain. They don't get sick. If they break, you replace them. Think about the strategic implications for national governments. It's huge. It becomes the decisive factor for a government, for a state, for a nation state to even compete in the future. And when you think through the forcing functions that will force societies to embrace humanoid robots, it's not going to even be a debate. It's going to be a must. I think the opportunity is insane, and I think the technology is here. The technology of AI brains, the technology of robotics, and the ability of mass manufacturing them at a ridiculous scale at least if you're Tesla. How would a roadmap look like for Tesla Optimus? What are we seeing? What's coming up? I think we know that the next step will be third generation Optimus. That Elon announced it at the shareholder meeting. We know they are 22 degrees of freedom in their hands, so they will improve their hands a little bit. Might be boring for many, but that's important. But why I am so bullish on the situation and the timing is that the second generation already looks pretty good. I mean, it does its job. It does, folding of clothing. I think the second generation is already good enough to have that commercial. It becomes a software improvement question, not so much a hardware. So the fact that we already see the third generation, which means we have a fourth or fifth generation when it becomes commercial, potentially in 2025, is pretty exciting. You're talking about very good hardware. The roadmap milestone or waypoint number 2 after we see third generation, probably in Q4 this year, announced and shown, demonstrated. The next thing is the deployment of thousands of Optimus robots in the Tesla factories next year in 2025. That's also something Elon discussed. I have no doubt that this is possible because we have already seen the Optimus doing little battery pack work, right? And what does it mean? I listened, I think, to I forgot who it was, like a cool Tesla channel, and they said, that already improves the margin of Tesla as the company because you can replace 20% of the workforce or something with Optimus, and that has an enormous impact on margin. But that's a side note. If Tesla can actually deploy thousands of Optimus in their factories and improve their margin, it's not just about the margin impact on Tesla's bottom line. It's about the blueprint you're creating for the rest of the industry, of the car industry and all related industries. Because what happens if Tesla even increases their margin by 10%? I mean, about 10 percentage points from the margin it is now, or 10 or 20%. It sends shock waves into the entire larger manufacturing space. And what is the shock wave? That you can now improve your margin by buying the Optimus robots. So at the second where they deploy that and they show some margin impact, they automatically create the best business pitch the world has ever seen. If Tesla can do it, everyone needs to do it and needs to buy their robots. This is happening next year. Think about it. You could argue, well, maybe deploy it and you don't see a margin impact for a year. Okay, really? How long is it going to take? If the Optimus robot can already put together little batteries packs, how long is it going to take until it's efficient enough to actually impact the manufacturing line and to actually impact how many people you need? It's going to be next year. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be next year that Tesla Optimus will have some form of impact on the productivity of Tesla. And at the second where this happens, you unlock an enormous B2B case for Optimus while you're driving up Tesla's primary electric vehicle margins. It's a complete double whammy of enormous proportions. The third waypoint on the roadmap after third generation Optimus in Q4 2024, then Tesla deployments of thousands of Optimus in the factories. What is the third waypoint? That will probably for sure happen next year too. It is some form of launch event where Elon steps on stage, presents, generation 4, whatever it is then, Optimus to the world, takes out his Twitter with 180 million people and tweets, Optimus Gen 4 powered by Super AI is now available for pre-order. And what happens then? A month, maybe 2 weeks in, they will announce that they have over 1 million pre-orders for Optimus. What does it mean to have 1 million pre-orders for Optimus? DTC, direct to consumer. I'm not even talking about the B2B case that will happen before, probably. This thing will cost $20,000. Manufacturing costs will be $10,000. They will sell the first ones, probably. I think Elon is actually wrong that they will first lease them. I think they will just sell them in the beginning and then lease them, whatever. They will be, they will be able to sell them. If you sell 1 million at $10,000 margin, you're making $10 billion in additional margin, which is more than 100% margin increase from what Tesla made in 2023. So that's nuts. That's literally doubling the stock price just on cash in, on free cash flow. But of course, if you sell 1 million, what are the odds you can sell 2 million? What are the odds you can sell 10 million? What are the odds you can sell 100 million? The odds are 100%. That is the inflection point. If you sell 1 million, you definitely will sell 100 million. There is no risk in between. There's no commercial risk anymore. The humanoid robot is the most universal value improvement platform the world has ever seen. And everyone knows it because it's universally applicable. Let's first talk about hard and soft catalysts. You know that I like to think in soft and hard catalysts. I think soft catalysts, even though they might be more powerful than FSD soft catalysts because it's so clear this is going to happen, is the 3rd generation launch. It's showing new applications and demos, playing piano, doing the lawn, washing laundry, whatever. These are soft catalysts because it's nice to have and it's a nice place. But for Wall Street analysts, okay, where's the money? Here's hard catalysts. Number 1, manufacturing capacity build out. Whenever we see any kind of movement from a drone that watches the gigafactories or some other announcement that Tesla is actually going into mass manufacturing, which needs to happen, maybe a year before. And they might do it in secret. But if anyone starts seeing, wait, they're building a new factory or they're building it into, Giga Texas or whatever, that's a hard catalyst because that signals to Wall Street, oh my God, they're ramping up mass manufacturing. This will happen the next year. Pre-orders, obviously. Pre-orders are a complete game changer. B2B deals, right? The announcement that Ford, buys 10,000 Optimus or something. These are hard catalysts, and they might be coming faster than you think. Let's talk about the waves. I like to think in waves here, how this would work, right? What are these sales waves for Optimus? I would say very likely wave 1 will be hundreds of thousands of bots. I'm a little conservative here. Sub 1 million. I think that wave will be achieved through pre-orders. Just because of star power of Tesla. And Wall Street analysts will say, who want to be skeptical, shorts or something, they're going to say, well, these are the fanboys. Sure, he can sell 500,000 or 1 million of these things, but they're completely useless. It's just his fanboys. So that's just the first wave. But they come out and actually sell this, and there will be pre-orders through the roof. And the skeptics will say, well, that's not a real case. This is just a one-off thing. Wave 2, and by the way, wave 1 at $10,000 margin adds billions in earnings. Just as wave 1, billions in earnings and adding tens of % hard to stock price. So I'm saying, of course, the stock's going to go up much more, but the stock will be forced to add tens of % up to 100% to the stock price just on cash flow for that. So the hardest forcing function you can imagine. And as I said, the stock will go up probably much, much more than that, but it has no choice in going up to 100% on that. Wave 2, you're talking about millions of Optimus sold. That happens once there's any kind of reasonable value that Optimus actually in the real world demonstrates, either in the home or in the factories or both. So here you're going into more critical consumers and buyers who say, I love the Optimus, but I'm not going to drop 20,000 unless I see I can probably make some more money than I dropped. So this is a much more demanding, much more difficult market and use case to go into. I think all of us understand, of course, no brainer it's going to happen, but I'm talking about hard forcing functions here, hard waves. So it will take a year or two to actually get there, to have these hard models, right? These hard cases and examples. But this will then add tens of billions. So millions equates directly to tens of billions in added margin. So on the hardest forcing function level, this will add hundreds of % hard to the stock price. And hard means every value fund, every mutual fund will have to increase their stock prices on their targets. And then finally, wave 3, where you go into tens of millions of robots sold. That's adding hundreds of billions to Tesla's margin. And that's adding thousands of % hard to the stock price. And I'm not going to go into more waves. I think at that point, wave 3 everyone, even the biggest skeptic, I forgot the short guy, how it's called, but the crazy guy on CNBC always said Tesla's, he says it's a stock price target of 60 or something. Even this guy at this point will capitulate and say, okay, fine. If you can sell tens of millions, you will be able to sell tens of billions. When we think about these waves, I was talking about the hard forcing function. It is so obvious that even in wave one, well, let me put it like this. Each wave will anticipate already the next wave. So the impact on the stock price of wave one will be the impact of the stock price that we see hard in wave two, which means once you have wave one, once you sell hundreds of thousands of Tesla Optimus, you will see a 2 to 5x increase in the stock price. And once you have wave two, with millions of sold, you will, in my opinion, see the stock going up 10 to 50 times. So it's not going to wait for wave three to do that. At wave two, it's too obvious. It's too clear that this will scale. So even in wave one, I think we will see a stock price increase of up to 10x, 2 to 5x very quickly, and then towards 10x. In other words, it's going to be pretty serious. And wave one, don't forget what wave one is. Wave one is just Elon going on stage and saying you can pre-order this thing right now, with a compelling, demonstration that they're actually manufacturing them. That could happen next year. So I think it will actually happen next year, very likely. So now you understand why I think this whole thing is very serious. And when we go through timelines and catalysts, Q4 we will see third generation Optimus. In 2025, there will be a launch, in my opinion. Maybe late 2025, but there will be a day, very likely next year, where Elon goes on stage and says you can now pre-order the Tesla Optimus for your home. And that will result in hundreds of thousands of pre-orders immediately. I want to conclude this video with a final comparison of FSD versus Optimus, so we understand what should we bet on and what is going to happen here. And in my FSD video, as bullish as I am on Optimus, I'm uber bull on Optimus. I think this is much bigger than people understand, and it's much faster than people understand. If we compare these two, I think Optimus is the clear winner, and different from what I thought even a month ago, I think it comes before FSD. It scales before FSD. And the end point of Optimus is some ridiculous number that will be tens of times larger than the entire robotaxi market. Therefore, I think FSD is actually not that important. You heard it here first. I know it sounds crazy. I think FSD is not even important anymore for the Tesla story. Optimus is where the money is, where the hundreds of trillions are. FSD is just a little side note. It will maybe add 8 trillion to Tesla's market cap, but no one will care about that. It's like, fine, add 8 trillion. Great, congratulations. So just, comparing this head to head, the requirements for an FSD rollout are insane. Not regulatory. Regulatory was never the problem with FSD. I guarantee you that. The problem is FSD's requirements and difficulty is insane, because if you kill anyone, if there's a fatality with a robotaxi, it's going to be a total disaster. And to not have a fatality in a robotaxi at scale is impossible. So there you have it. It's extremely difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult, and it's going to take longer than people think. They will have to build all these complicated things around the core technology, something that Elon doesn't like much, these kinds of things, because they're annoying. Remote drivers or remote control intervention teams, some flagging if a Tesla robotaxi has a problem, then passing on to the team. That all needs to be figured out. Geofencing you will need. So, and these are all things that Elon hates. He doesn't want to do, geofencing. He doesn't want to have human intervention stuff going on, but he will need to do it. Otherwise, you can't do it. And this will all take time and can't be really hacked, right? Long timelines to implement this. And also, I think Elon will get distracted by Optimus. So that's why focus is there. Whereas Optimus, think about it. Optimus, direct to consumer, what are the actual deployment hurdles? I tell you exactly what they are. Nothing. There are no hurdles. If you have a cool looking Optimus, even the Gen 2, people would buy them. Hundreds of thousands of people would buy Gen 2 right now. Because what can go wrong? It stands in the corner. Maybe it, sometimes doesn't work. Who cares? And you can pitch the hell out of it. You can say, well, this is just your cool hardware. You get over the air updates for your Optimus all the time. So Elon can find all the excuses in the world if this thing doesn't work perfectly. It doesn't need to be perfect because who cares, right? If it folds your clothes and then it has a crash and stops folding them, who cares? The liability, sure, if you have a little baby and the Optimus falls over it and kills a baby, that would be horrible. I think it's much easier to mitigate. You just say, make them small, or they're already small, make them light, make them very cautious. No one cares if these things are not that great in the beginning because it's all software and you sell them with over-the-air software updates. So just think through the operational implications of deploying these things. FSD is through the roof, the requirements, and Optimus doesn't have requirements. Just sell them. The same is true for B2B, right? At the millisecond where this thing has any kind of value for a repetitive task or in some industry, you can already deploy them with an economic case. And then finally, of course, besides DTC and B2B, you have B2G, Optimus government, Optimus for nation states. No government, once the stuff starts working, can even afford to not have a strategic investment in large-scale robot deployment. Large-scale robot enablement of the population. You have no choice. If you fall behind that game, you are toast. And governments have to anticipate, that over the next 4 or 5 years, where everyone knows it's going to happen. So this will be an absolutely exponential, crazy bonanza of unprecedented proportions. There are so many things coming together because the strategic idea to let humanity run on Optimus or on humanoid robots, right? They are competitors, is just too insane. And it's just going to happen very fast. One last topic is competition. I think different from FSD, there will be competition. There will be competition that will perform, in these 4 central drivers: AI revolution, robotic capability, manufacturing capability, and selling capability. Here's what's going to happen. In AI revolution and robotics, there will be very serious competition. Some of them will be better than Tesla. But in manufacturing, only some Chinese company might be able to compete with Tesla, but they will have quality issues and all kinds of things, and they suck in making big innovation leaps, so they will lag behind Tesla, but they might pull that off. But in terms of selling millions of these things, there is no competition. So AI revolution, sure, there will be hard competition. Robotics, sure. Integration of both, sure. There will be serious competitors, figure one. Manufacturing, okay, that will kill 90% of the competition, will be killed by the manufacturing scaling problem that Tesla will solve. So then you have a few ahead, like 1 or 2 standing there who can truly compete with Tesla. But then comes the final blow. Who can sell millions of these things with a tweet? No one. Only Elon. That's why I think Tesla will lead this whole thing in dramatic ways over the next 10 years. There will be no real competitor. Over time, of course, something's going to happen. But they will own an enormous amount of this market. It also, plays into Elon's strength that he can always create a new S-curve, new ideas, new strategic first principle ideas, how you use that new platform for humanity. Humanity will run on Optimus. You heard it here first. Humanity runs on Optimus. It's a insane capability force multiplier for humanity. It's all a giant distributed hardware platform that can do any kind of labor, that can be over the air updated with all kinds of crazy things that are going to happen. And the time for that will be now. The hockey stick you will get out of this is totally insane. And you're talking about hundreds of trillions of dollars you can generate in value with no end in sight. And once the market understands this, and I think it will be forced to understand this in 2025, I don't even see where the limit is for the stock. We have to be always cautious. You make up your own mind about investing. Anytime you do any kind of investments that are time sensitive, for example, with call options, you can lose all your money because who the hell knows what happens? There's always tail risk. But of all the stocks out there, I think Tesla has by far the lowest risk and the highest return even imaginable. So I'm very bullish on this whole thing. And I think FSD is going to go down in history as a total side note that in the end it's 8 trillion and no one cares. So I hope you liked it. Subscribe to the channel. I will keep a sharp eye on this. I will launch another video that, it covers a little bit of SpaceX very soon. And of the SpaceX of healthcare and draw some comparisons. And that's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope to see you around. And it's going to be a wild, wild ride for the next 18 months with this stock and this insane opportunity.